they're all such great ingredients that I'm putting into this smoothie. So every time I'm putting something in there, I'm proud of myself, and I'm looking at how far I've come. From the diet I had, even a year ago, the diet I had was miles away from where I'm eating now. So I can only imagine where I'm going to be a year from now. Welcome to Trujectory, the podcast committed to helping you align with who you really are, your true self. The one who is so comfortable with their uniqueness, so in love with life, and so effortlessly able to manifest everything they always dreamt of. I want this podcast to be a resource to help you jump into the driver's seat rather than continuing as a passenger in your own story. Let's understand why we choose to hold ourselves back so we can shed the lies that we've programmed into our minds. We can heal the root causes and step into the epic human that we know we can be. If you're ready to start aligning with your trajectory, let's do it. Hey everybody, thank you for tuning in. Today is a really exciting one for me. I am going to walk you through my magic morning routine, and I call it that because it truly is freaking magic. It changes my entire state, it sets me up for the day, it makes me feel invincible and like I'm ready for anything. And it's taken quite a few years of tweaking and adding some new things in and taking other things out to really get it to the point where it just sets me up in the way that I need to be set up to get shit done. And it's not just a physical one, it's catering to mind, body, and soul. So there's a lot in here. I will try and keep it as short as I can, but there are quite a few different parts to it. So let's jump in. So first of all, waking up early. I've always been an early riser. Some days, obviously, I struggle a little bit more than others, but in general, I'm usually up around 5:30, 6, something like that. And obviously your morning routine is there to suit your lifestyle. So you might only have an hour to work with because you might get up a little bit later. You might have to go to bed later at night, so you might have to get up later. And that's fine. This doesn't have to be the exact same timing or anything. These are just ideas and things that you can choose to pick apart. You might choose to take a couple of these pieces and add them into your morning routine, and then add a whole bunch of other things that have nothing to do with what I talk about today. It's totally up to you, obviously. So, waking up early, that is a game changer for me. Waking up before the sun is up, especially when it's not daylight savings time here in Australia, it's really dark until about 7. In the middle of winter, the sun rises at about 7:20. So if I'm up at 5:30, it feels like I'm up at nighttime. It's like there's a whole couple of hours of things that I can get done before the sun even rises. And that also means that I get to enjoy literally watching the sunrise from my balcony, and I'm so grateful for that. I've lived in an apartment the last year where I couldn't even see the sun really from any angle, so very, very blessed now to have an apartment where I can watch the sunrise from behind the mountains right in front of my whole living room and my balcony. So that's a little added bonus to my morning routines. But first things first, I wake up and, well, let's be real, the very first thing I do is I change my cat's litter. So not so glamorous, but gets the body moving, gets you out of bed. My first step after I do all of the cat prep and getting dressed into my gym gear is I head to the gym. So like I said, in wintertime, I'm walking to the gym while the moon and the stars are still out. So I love that. And where I live, it's quite cold in winter. So it's a nice little bit of, cold therapy first thing in the morning to really snap you into gear. So I love that. I have an audiobook. I'm constantly listening to audiobooks. I think they're a great way to, when you're going for a walk. Sometimes I do like walking and just being in the moment and just vibing and watching nature and people watching and all sorts of things. But I often find that I've got so many books in my audio library that I need to get through. So whenever I'm walking, my earplugs are in, what are they called? AirPods, and multitasking. So that's probably one of the only few times that I like to multitask. I feel like I used to try and multitask all the time, and obviously I was only getting minimal amounts of everything done rather than really focusing my full attention on one thing at a time. But when I'm walking and listening to whether it's a podcast or an audiobook, something that's helping me learn and grow and evolve a little bit more, it just feels like that extra oomph in the morning, going, yes, I'm really doing something good for me. I'm learning, I'm walking, I'm moving, it's freezing, I'm feeling life, it's fantastic. So I get to the gym and I get my ass kicked for an hour, and then come back home and I'm listening to my audiobook again. And basically when I come home, I start to set the tone of my space. So I light some incense, maybe some candles, I put some music on. It depends on the mood that I'm in. Sometimes I want to listen to, high vibe music. And that could mean one of two things. It could be high vibrational music where it's literally frequencies and hertz frequencies that are sort of played. So it's almost like tone sort of sounds rather than actual music. And other times my high vibe music is like, let's party, let's like wake up. And I've got sort of all types of different Spotify playlists that I've curated over the years that have music in it that really just either I can sing along to, or it just reminds me of like really happy times in my life, or it just really gets me, wanting to jump around and move. So depending on that, if I do have that second version of the high vibe music playing where I'm jumping around and wanting to move, I'll often just do a little bit of dance just to myself. It could be really uncoordinated. The more uncoordinated, the better, to be honest, because I'm not clocking my moves. I'm not judging myself. I'm just embodying freedom. I'm just letting anything shake off that doesn't suit me, anything that isn't serving me for that day. If I've got any neg vibes that are rolling around, or any tension or resistance, or, low vibrational energy or anything, I just sort of shake it off. And that is if the gym hasn't already done that, which usually by the end of, you'll know if you work out as well. After you're done with a really decent gym session, you're sort of like, whoa, you feel $1,000,000. It's sort of just like it's shaking you out of any neg vibes you could have, because you can't really be thinking negatively when your focus is fully on, oh my gosh, can I hold my body weight up any longer in this pull-up? Or, oh my gosh, I can't lift that many weights today, but I'm going to try. And so anyway, once I'm home, I've done a little, uncoordinated free ball and dance. I go and have a shower. And then when I come out, I start stretching. So now I'm really starting to slow down a bit. My morning has kicked off with wake up, go, go, go. And now it's time to calm down a little bit and center. So I have my nice music playing, and I'm really stretching out all different parts of my body. Usually go for about 15 minutes, maybe a little bit more. I'm working on practicing being able to do the full splits. So that's also, I always like to give myself a bit of a challenge within something. So for me, it's not just stretching, which is already great for your body, obviously, especially after a workout. But I've also got the challenge in there of each time I stretch, I want to be getting further and further down in the splits each time. And I'm quite close at the moment, so I'm very, very proud of myself. I'm very excited, but it's taken a really long time to get there. So baby steps, key to everything, right? Baby steps. So I've done my stretching, the incense is going off, everything smells amazing, the music's keeping me in a good mood. Then I go and make my smoothie. And honestly, I could have a whole episode just like drooling over this smoothie and just talking about how much I love it and how much it's changed my world. I used to really struggle with breakfast. Breakfast was always such a bitch meal for me. It just pissed me off because, I started when I was younger. I used to have really carb heavy breakfasts and I would feel really sluggish by mid-morning. Or, I started having all sorts of fun gluten intolerances. So then bread was an issue. And then I've just gone through so many different types of breakfasts. And I've gone through phases where I've woken up and I haven't been hungry for 2 or 3 hours. So I'm not even eating until later. And then also, obviously, even though I didn't feel like I was hungry, I really did need something to keep that energy going. So I'd again be burning out by mid-morning, which was really frustrating. And took me a long time to put 2 and 2 together and go, look, breakfast is a big deal. The first thing that you have in the day, need to get this shit sorted. So I started having smoothies back in 2018. So that was like 5 years ago. And excuse me, I just burped. I don't know if you heard that. So when I started, of course, as you do, it was in my mind, I was doing a really good thing. I was having this awesome smoothie. I had some protein powder in there, had some fruit in there, had a banana, had some, almond milk, some coconut milk, and all sorts of great, great healthy things. And after a while, I started to realize that I was having these massive sugar spikes in the morning, glucose spike, I think you call it. And in case you can't tell, I'm not overly versed in nutrition, and I'm still very basic. I'm learning all of these sorts of things. There's just so much to learn. I feel like every time I learn something more about food, what's good for me and what's not good for me, I then have to learn 50 other things, or I have to completely change my diet again. And so I just sort of baby steps again, just little by little, I'm learning a little. And so anyway, when I started this smoothie, I thought I was doing a really good job, but it turns out when I actually looked at how much sugar was in the specific ingredients that I had chosen, it was over my entire recommended sugar intake for the whole day. And that was just the first thing that I had in the morning. At that point in my life, back in 2018, I was still having juices and soft drinks and, coffees with 2 sugars in them. And I still have them occasionally, by the way. But anyway, there's still one thing that's got to get kicked out. But yeah, so I was having a very high sugar diet, and I wasn't even aware of it. I wasn't aware of how much sugar was coming into that first piece of food in the morning. A lot of it was actually from the almond milk and the coconut milk and the coconut water that I put in. And I didn't realize that there's a huge difference between almond milk and unsweetened almond milk. To me, it never tasted that sweet, so I didn't even notice in the supermarket that there were 2 different options. So again, this is where, learning, trial and error. I started off and then had to definitely start tweaking that recipe fairly quickly. I had honey in it originally as well. So it tasted really good, but it was not good for me at all. The banana alone has so much sugar in it, it's insane. So anyway, it's taken a few years to get here and tweaking little by little along the way, but now it is basically, I have frozen cauliflower. Sounds random, but it really doesn't taste like anything much. It just keeps it nice and cool, gives you a little bit of vegetable intake, and yeah, it's got a really bland sort of flavor, but it gives it a thicker texture to the whole overall smoothie, which I really like. I like it really gluggy. So I've got frozen cauliflower, a few little cubes of frozen mango, and a few frozen blueberries. So that's my fruit intake that I have in that smoothie. And then I have unsweetened almond milk. And then, let's see if I can remember everything. I should have written this down before we started. So we have probiotic. It basically has become like a medicine cabinet, this smoothie. So probiotic, I've got vitamin C ascorbate. I think I'm saying that right. I've got Kakadu plum, which is a really potent vitamin C concentrated powder. And then I've got magnesium powder. I've got collagen, bentonite clay, which is really good to extract all of the toxins from your body and the things that, you don't want stuck in there. You can also use bentonite as a face mask or a foot rub and all sorts of different things. It's really an overall wonder powder. It's a clay. What else have we got? We've got chia seeds again so that's great for fiber. They're very high in fiber, which keeps you full for a lot of the morning, and it also again adds to that gluggy effect because the chia seeds expand once they're in any sort of water or milk. Then I've got hemp seeds, really good for protein. I've got cacao, which has got magnesium in it. So that's where starting to get into what's giving me the sugary sweetness flavor, because I do have a sweet tooth at the end of the day. So I've got to cater to that. So it still tastes absolutely amazing. Cinnamon has been a game changer, adding quite a little bit of cinnamon in there, which is really good for you in many different ways. But that changes the flavor. The cinnamon and the cacao, whoa, it's amazing. It's so freaking tasty. And then I've got turmeric, I think I always say that wrong. So turmeric powder. And then I'm pretty sure it's just the protein powders from there. So I found a couple of really good protein powders. Not affiliated with the company, even though one day I might be because I really support what they do, but it's called At Health. So if you ever are interested in looking them up, look up At Health protein powders in Australia, and they have some incredible flavors, and I love the consistency that it brings to the smoothie. So that is pretty much what goes into my smoothie, and it tastes amazing. It tastes like cake mix, raw. And I mean, when I used to make cakes, only half of the mix actually went into the tin, into the oven. The rest of it went straight into my mouth because I freaking love cake mix, cake batter. It's just the same as cookie dough. You can't expect that all those cookies are actually going to get in the oven, right? Like, what is that? Anyway, so now I've had my amazing smoothie. And the other thing that I love about this smoothie is, as you can tell, there are quite a few ingredients that go into it. So it's not a quick process. It takes about 10 minutes for me to make. And I love using that time to just be really present. Old Sarah would get frustrated at anything that took longer than 5 seconds. And I'd be rushing and, trying to pour everything in and losing things along the way and dropping ingredients and rush. And, life has happened. A lot of lessons have come my way, and I've learned to be present, how important that is. So being literally 100% there in that moment and just enjoying. Every time I take a new supplement or ingredient or anything, they're all such great ingredients that I'm putting into this smoothie. So every time I'm putting something in there, I'm proud of myself, and I'm looking at how far I've come from the diet I had, even a year ago. The diet I had was miles away from where I'm eating now. So I can only imagine where I'm going to be a year from now. So anyway, that's a great chance to practice some presence. Once I'm done with that, then it gets into the fun part. So I am a videographer and editor by trade. That's what I've been doing for the last 10 years, and I love what I do. Obviously, I'm stepping a little bit more into the self-improvement space because I can see how many people are still doing jobs that they don't love, and that's a big push as to why I've started doing this work, because I want to see everyone that I know and everyone that they know doing things that they love for a living. I don't want to see anyone stuck in a job or feeling like they're stuck in a job that they really dislike, because I did that for 7 years when I was younger, actually longer. I started working when I was 12, and up until I was 24, I worked in jobs that I really didn't like, really didn't like. It was just a means to an end, and I just don't think that's any way to live when you start to realize that you can actually start to create your reality. You can shift out of that and you can start to step towards what you want. But for now, I'm going to stick to the point, which is the morning routine. I have created what I call a master manifestation movie. So this has come from, the idea stemmed from Joe Dispenza's work. Dr. Joe Dispenza is a neuroscientist. I've spoken about him in other episodes. I'm sure I'll speak about him in future episodes because I love what he's doing and showing people. But he is someone who, long story short, he broke his back in a few places in a riding accident many years ago, and after doctors and many other people basically told him you're never going to walk again, he started to look at the power of the mind, consciousness, self-healing, energy, frequency, vibration, resonance, and he healed his own back in a matter of 6 weeks purely by doing specific meditations, which he now teaches people all around the world. And he's curing people, well, he's showing people how to cure themselves of everything you could possibly imagine. And yes, I'm talking about blind people are leaving with their sight, stage 4 cancer leaving completely healed, all the things you can imagine. There's even, I was listening to a chat he did the other day. He was talking about a woman who had her thyroid removed for whatever reason, but she literally grew a thyroid back. So anyway, look into that sort of stuff, because this is just a hint of what we're learning that we're capable of. So from his book, Becoming Supernatural, which was a big catalyst that woke me up spiritually and made me understand what I'm capable of, as we all are, one of the big tools in that was to create a little movie, basically. So I don't know if you've heard of vision boards, but a vision board's purpose is to basically remind you of the goals that you want, the dream you want, whatever it is, whether it's a holiday or a new love, new romantic interest, or a new job or a new home. Whatever it is, you put these pictures that represent that image in your mind up on a board, you put that board on your wall, and you look at it every day. And just by doing that, you're reprogramming your mind to remind you that that's where you're headed, and to get your subconscious mind to start to draw these sorts of opportunities and connections into your world that will bring you closer to that reality. So it's literally just a way to reprogram your subconscious mind to start to see the life that you want to see, that you want to live. So if you imagine that, that's sort of just a board that's sitting on a wall. His recommendation was to make a movie version of that, which was sort of like a slideshow version of different images, and you couple it with really powerful music so that it's bringing that emotion into the equation. So you're not just seeing the visuals and thinking, oh, that'd be nice. You are literally immersed in this experience where there's music and your cells are vibrating and you're feeling it, and you're really like imagining yourself in that situation, in that scenario. So because I've been an editor for so long, I was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect for me. I've got to start doing this. So I created what I call a master manifestation movie. And it's basically, I choose a few things from my main list of things that I want in my life. I pick 2 or 3 and I represent them in images, videos, and I use words, affirmations, and I have music that's all put together in a specific way that makes me elevate my vibration. Basically, every morning and every night when I watch it, I can feel myself stepping into that life that I'm watching play out in front of me. And it's a really, really powerful way to get me closer to where I want to be. Because at the end of the day, manifestation is simply a coupling of a very clear intention, what it is that you want, knowing that desire so clearly and wanting it so badly, and then coupling that with belief that it has happened, that it's already happened. You just haven't seen it manifest into your physical reality yet, but it already exists. And that faith, that belief it's the secret ingredient. So having your elevated emotion come into play. So you're watching these visuals and you're seeing the clear intention of what you want, and then you're having an elevated emotion, which is making you bolster that faith and that belief in what you are going to do, what you have already done. It's a game changer. It's amazing. So I've seen my whole world shift in only a few months of using this tool. So that is what I start doing after I have made my smoothie. And so within that movie, at the end of it, there's a bit of a declaration and some affirmations that I say out loud. And then I do a bit of a meditation. So I've just seen this whole beautiful movie play out of what I want my life to look like. Now I sit back in meditation and I do a bit of a visualization meditation to really feel it, to see it in just technicolor. It's incredible. So everyone's very different when it comes to their intuitive senses. Some people are more clairvoyant, some people are more clairaudient. Some people literally see, like I said, like technicolor, 3D imagery when they close their eyes and they meditate. I get a bit of that, and then I get a little bit more of the feeling and the emotion of it. I'm more claircognizant, which is a clear knowing, and clairsentient, which is clear feeling. So the word clair, by the way, is the French word for clear. So it just means clear knowing, clear seeing, clear feeling, clear hearing. And they're all just different gifts that we all have access to, but we all have a predominant one that's a little bit stronger than the others. And so I'm sitting in meditation, feeling so viscerally this experience of what I want my life to look like. I'm feeling what I'm going to be feeling like when I walk into that room and do that thing that I've been wanting to do, or feeling what it's going to be like when I'm in that new kitchen of that beautiful home that I'm manifesting. Whatever it is, you really need to start putting yourself in that scenario so that you can feel it. Because once you're feeling it, that's the magnetic side of your being as a human. You're electromagnetic. Your thoughts are electric and your feelings are magnetic. So once you start to have a clear thought of what you want, and then you have a big high vibrational feeling, which is very magnetic, the higher, the more elevated and incredible the feeling, the bigger the magnet becomes, and you start to attract these things into your world. This is why becoming your true self is the ultimate game changer and makes you a master manifester, because when you're your true self, you've culled all of the limiting beliefs and all of the blocks, you've healed yourself to your core, and you are able to resonate and vibrate at such a high level so often. I'm not going to say all the time, shit still happens, of course it does, but you have the tools to obviously work through them a lot better when you're more familiar and comfortable with who you really are. But when you're in that state, more often than not, you are calling things in with so much ease and grace, and it's incredible. That's when you start to see miracles and you go, how did I ever live any other way? How did I let myself live in such a low vibration for so long? Oh my God. Anyway, so after the manifestation movie, I'm doing my meditation, which is just amplifying the vision that I've just seen. And I also do a couple of really basic practices to cleanse my energy field, to ground myself into the earth, and to protect my energy as well. Especially because I'm an empath. A lot of you empaths will understand when I talk about this, but if you don't protect your energy, everyone has an energy field around them, and for most it's sort of almost like an egg shape and it's quite encompassed. For an empath, it's like they have tentacles and they're like reaching into everyone else's energy fields. So when you're walking through a mall, for example, you can go from feeling super high to super low to confused to worried to scared to arrogant to all sorts of things as you pass different people, and you're not even aware that you're picking up on everyone else's energy. So if you've ever sort of started to wonder why is my mood changing so quickly and I'm not even doing anything that's going to make me shift moods so quickly, maybe look into, maybe study into the empath, what happens when you're an empath. Look into that a little bit more, because it helped me a lot when I started to understand that. So grounding, cleansing and protecting my energy, and I'm visualizing myself in that position. After that, the last thing I do is I do a bit of writing, and I feel like it's a lost art, and it's such an important, powerful tool to just put pen to paper sometimes. So this last step of my beautiful magic morning routine is I have 10 things that I want, that represent what I want my life to look like. It's like my dream life. It's everything from how I want to be physically, how I want to be, spiritually, the things that I want to manifest, the sort of dream job that I want, the ultimate dream goal that I have for myself. And there's 10 things. So, you could, if you're interested in doing this part of the routine, you could have 5 things if you want. You could have 15 things if you want. It doesn't matter. I chose 10. I feel like it's nicely rounded off, and it gave me a chance to look at mind, body, soul again, so that all the different elements of who I am and what I am are encompassed within this list of 10 things. And I write them down. Once I've written them all down, I hold it up in front of me and I read it out one by one. And as I'm reading each one out, again, I'm using that clear intention and elevated emotion, that recipe that you need to manifest. So I am reading each one out. So I'm clearly looking at what it is, and I am then visualizing, feeling, imagining myself having that thing already. And as I get to the bottom of the list, I then take a pause and I thank the universe and just say, thank you. It is done, it is done, it is done, and put it away. And then it's time to start my day. So that is my morning routine. And it takes, with the gym involved as well, it's usually about a 3-hour process. So it's not a quick thing. It is something that, like I said, has taken me quite a few years to refine and to alter and to work out exactly how to cater to every single part of who I am, mind, body, and soul. And it has changed my life. It truly has. It took a little while to get into the habit of doing it. Some mornings I'd do, one of the things. Some mornings I'd do 3 of the things. Some mornings I'd do none of them, and I'd get really frustrated and, just think, I don't have time for that today, whatever. And it always would show throughout that day. I would always end up having a shitty day, and things just wouldn't align. Things just wouldn't be flowing. I'd be lacking in energy. I'd be lacking in motivation and self-confidence. I'd be feeling like, when I don't keep promises to myself, and it's the same with all of us, when we don't keep those promises that we say that we're going to do, that's when we start to lose confidence in ourselves. And it makes sense. Why wouldn't we lose a little bit of confidence when we go, it's like having a friend that says, I'll pick you up at 9 a.m. in the morning, and then they don't. And then the next day they say they will, and then they don't again. How much are you going to trust that friend? How much faith are you going to put in that friend that they're going to actually come and pick you up at 9 a.m.? You're going to stop believing in it, and then you're going to get a little bit, depressed. When it's yourself that you feel like you can't trust, that's when depression comes in, because you just feel like, oh, there's so many things I want, but there's no one here inside me who's going to help me. And it's very frustrating. So I've been through all of those phases, and I think that's a big important part of the process, because eventually after you find a little bit of a flow and you start to get in the habit of doing this morning routine, and you start to really like it, and then you start to see the benefits, and then you start to like it even more, the days that you then don't do it, you really miss it. And it just reminds you how important it is. And so I've gotten to the point now where I don't miss a day. I really don't, unless I had potentially like a 5 or 6 a.m. flight that I had to get on. There's no excuse to not do it. I can get up earlier if I need to. If I've only got 2 hours to do something, I could do a gym session at lunchtime rather than in the morning, so I could just focus on my morning routine in the morning and then, do my workout later in the day. That's fine. If I need to reshuffle, that's okay. But I want to make sure that I am primed, ready, set to go for that day, every single day. And so I hope that you've gotten something out of this, even if there's 1 or 2 little parts of that routine that you think might work for you. Quick recap. So it's an early wake up. Oh, and I almost forgot the most important thing. My phone does not come on until this whole thing is done. So I have at least 3 hours every morning where I don't have any phone access. I also make sure I put my phone on airplane mode from about 7 or 8 p.m. at night, so that I have that time just to myself to read and to slow down and to make sure that I'm primed and ready for my morning routine. So it starts to bleed into other areas of your day, which is super helpful, and it happens naturally. You really want to start showing up for this morning routine. So that means you eat healthier the night before, you go to bed earlier, you make sure you're not watching TV up until the point where you go to bed, because your head's going to still be chattering a million miles an hour. Doing a little bit of reading or journaling before bed is a great way to slow down and get into that rhythm of sleep time. So wake up early, no phones involved, go to the gym, walking home, listening to an audiobook. I then have a shower with my high vibe music and my incense on, so I've set the tone of the space, so it's a really high vibe, happy place to be. And then I do some stretching, then I make my morning smoothie, then I watch my master manifestation movie. Then I do a bit of meditation where I do more of the manifesting visualization. And then I also do the cleansing, grounding, and protecting of my energy field and my space. And then the final thing is that I do that manifestation journal of 10 different things that encompass the full, incredible life that I want to see myself living. And I read that out to myself, and I know that it is already done. That is my magic morning routine, and oh my gosh, I just love it. So anyways, let me know how you go, please. I would love to hear how your progress is going with this. If you're at the very beginning of your journey, if you're halfway through it, if you're thinking about changing some things up, if you want any advice, if you've got any questions, hit me up on social media. Instagram's probably the best place, and it's just at Trujectory, one word, and we can chat. But for now, good luck. It is an absolute game changer when you get your morning routine started, so get into it and have fun with it. Make it so much fun for you, just like mine is for me. And until next time, stay you, stay true. Love ya. Mwah.